Okay, so we're gonna go over the odds from the chapter 11 review, pages 509 to 511, starting with number 1. So both numbers 1 and 3 are asking to find the absolute value, which is how many spaces the number is from 0. 3 is 3 spaces from 0, making the absolute value 3. Number 3 is asking for the absolute value of negative 17. Well, negative 17 is 17 spaces from 0, so the absolute value is 17. Just a reminder, please feel free to pause anytime you need it or fast forward to the question that you need. You don't have to watch me work out all of them. Okay, number 5, it's telling us the elevation of Death Valley is negative 282 feet. This is Death Valley. And the elevation of the Mississippi is 279 feet. Okay, and then it asks us which is closer to sea level. So what it's asking us is which one of these values is closer to 0. Well, 279 is closer to 0, making it the Mississippi River. Number 6 is not one we're gonna do because it is not an odd. Number 7. Okay, number 7 and 9, we are going to be adding. Remember, a negative is what we owe, a positive is what we have. So in number 7, I owe you $15. I only have 5 to give you, which means I still owe you 10, making it a negative 10. Number 9, looks like you're lending me some more money here. Negative 32 plus negative 2. So both of these are instances that I owe. I owe you 32. I owe you 2 more, which means I owe you a total of 34. Okay, number 11, now we begin to deal with subtraction. So we are looking at negative 16 minus negative 5. So just a reminder, we are not going to subtract. Instead, we are going to add the opposite. So negative 16, we're going to drop down. I'm going to circle my subtraction sign. That's what I'm changing to addition. The opposite of a negative 5 is a positive 5. And now I can use the same idea as number 7 and 9. I owe you 16. I only have 5 to give you, which means I still owe you negative 11. Number 13. Negative 12 minus negative 27. Okay, same idea. Circle your subtraction symbol. Instead of subtracting, we are going to add the opposite. So negative 12, this becomes addition. The opposite of a negative is a positive. I have 27. I owe you 12, which means I now have 15. Okay. Number 15. Okay, so now we're working towards multiplication and division, and 15 is asking us to multiply negative 8 by 6. So we're going to work out the computation first. 8 times 6 is 48, and the opposite of a positive is a negative 48. Number 17, still multiplication. Negative 3 times negative 6. Work out that computation. 3 times 6 is 18. The opposite of a negative is the opposite of a negative, makes it a positive answer. Okay, 19, same rules apply when we go to division. We have negative 18 divided by 9, work out your computation. 18 divided by 9 is 2. The opposite of the positive makes it a negative 2. Number 21. Number 21. Now it's showing this. Well, we've practiced all year that the fraction bar simply means division. So 30 divided by 6 is 5. The opposite of our positive makes it a negative 5. 23. Okay, 23 is asking us to evaluate the expression z divided by x, and it tells us that z is equal to -6, and it tells us x is equal to 3. So our first job in evaluating is to substitute. So instead of a z, I'm going to replace it with a -6, drop down my division symbol. The value of x is 3, and then we can solve just like the others up here. 6 divided by 3 is 2. The opposite of a positive is a negative. Okay, let's try 25. It's a little bit trickier. Okay, so 25, still an evaluate question. Z minus 2x divided by, there's our fraction bar, means divided by y. And I'm gonna go ahead and write my values off to this side here, just so I can refer to them. X is 3, y equals -4, and z is still -6. Okay, our first job is going to be to substitute, okay? So instead of a z, I'm gonna replace that with -6. I'm going to drop down my subtraction sign. I'm gonna drop down my 2. X, the value for x is 3. I'm gonna put that in parentheses because smashed means to multiply. And the value for y was a -4. So we've talked about these types of questions before. We have to solve the entire numerator before we can divide by 4. So in our numerator, we have 2 operations we have to deal with: subtraction and multiplication. Well, multiplication comes first in order of operations. So I'm gonna solve 2 times 3. So -3 minus 2 times 3 is 6. And I'll just keep that all over the -4. Then I need to work out -6 minus 6. Well, reminder, we're not going to subtract 6, we're gonna add its opposite. So this is going to turn into -6. This is gonna become addition. And the opposite of 6 is -6. And I'm gonna just sub that in parentheses to separate the 2 symbols here, keeping it all over -4. So now I owe you 6. I owe you 6 more, which means I owe you a total of 12. And divided by -4. Well, solve your computation. 12 divided by 4 is 3. And the opposite of a negative makes it a +3. Okay, we have 2 left. Number 27 is calculating the mean, and it gives us this whole big string of integers. The good news is they're all negative. So if you add all of those numbers together, the sum of those integers is -288. So if you missed it, go back to your work and check to see if you got the right sum. Well, the second part in calculating the mean is we need to divide by how many numbers there are in the set. In this case, there are 7 numbers in the set. I know you can work out that division, so I'm not going to demonstrate that. 7 goes into 288 evenly 48 times, but be careful because this was a negative, okay? So the opposite of that positive would be a negative 488. Okay. Last one, number 29, is a word problem. So when you return merchandise to a store, it shows it instead of a charge. That amount you get back is shown as a negative. So negative $30.60 is what you get back on your card. And it said each shirt, so this is your refund, each shirt was negative $6.12, meaning you got back $6.12 per shirt. Remember, this is a refund. So in order to determine the number of shirts, we need to divide these two numbers. So if we set it up as a division problem, 30.6, I can use the 0 or not, might as well, divided by $6.12. Well, we cannot have a divisor that is a decimal. So if I multiply this by 100, or simply hop it over twice, that's our little shortcut, my divisor becomes 612. I need to do the same thing to the dividend, multiply by 100, or hop it twice, which means I'm dividing 612 into 3,060. 612 does not go into 3, 30, or 306, but luckily it goes in 5 times evenly, meaning you returned 5 shirts. Okay, I hope that helped. Bye.